Go ahead, Tim.
Dave, how are you today?
Hey, Tim, how you doing? I'm doing well.
Good, good. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
I thought I'd go big picture on you right out of the gate here. Trying to sort of think about what baseball looks like going forward. And they instituted 4 rules for 2020: the universal DH, the extra inning rule, the 7 inning doubleheaders, expanded postseason, and then in a different category, the 3 batter minimum. Of those, you're king for a day. Which would you go forward with and which would you scrap?
You know what? I actually like all of them. I think that I think the one that probably would be a tougher would be the 7 inning doubleheaders. Obviously, you're kind of digging into that, the split gate and all that stuff that kind of comes with doubleheaders potentially. But I like the 3 batter minimum. I certainly have been bullish on kind of the old school pitcher hit. But I like the DH. I really liked it. And the extra inning rule, I think we did it a couple times and it worked out. And I think for the purpose that it served for 20, I still think that it could be a benefit going forward. So I really thought that Major League Baseball got them right.
Of those, any of them that you thought you'd hate and you ended up sort of warming up to as the season went on?
I thought that I would really hate the 3 batter minimum. I think that, for us to get players that, get pitchers and challenge pitchers to get both left and right out, I think is a good thing. I don't think that it kind of accomplished what I think the initial goal was, and that was to speed up the game. I don't think that really had much of an impact on the game itself. But as far as strategy, I think that you could argue that that's a strategy in itself, having to commit to a pitcher facing 3 hitters.
Thank you. Happy holidays, man.
Send you too.
All right. Next question's from Rowan Kavner. Go ahead.
Hey, Dave, how are you?
Go,
Great. How quickly after you win a World Series do you go from celebrating that to your mind then shifting to 2021?
So I think that my progression was joy, elation right after the last out was recorded. Then it went to shortly thereafter was relief. And that lasted for probably a good week. And then I think the joy started to filter in. And so I'm still on a high in a joyful state with the thoughts of 21, how we're going to put together this roster and kind of reconnecting with players. That's kind of happening right now. But I think it'll ramp up more once, for me personally, once I get through the holidays.
And when you think back to the 2020 season with winning a World Series, with everything that went on off the field with the pandemic and the social justice kind of call-ins for players, is there one moment as you look back that really stands out most to you from last season?
Yeah, I think the easy answer is that day in August. We were in San Francisco when ultimately Major League Baseball, the players decided to protest a game. So that day, that was really something that I'll never forget. Having players really vulnerable and kind of talking about their really feelings, concerns, thoughts, and misunderstandings of the Black player. And, so that was really powerful. Then obviously with myself, Clayton, Mookie, Kenley, addressing the media. And then even the next morning, talking about potentially playing, not playing. Ultimately, we decided to play. But I think for me, that was very galvanizing and allowed for us to get through whatever situation we were going to have to face going forward to finish the season out.
Thanks, Dave.
Next question is from Jorge Castillo. Go ahead.
Hey Dave, good to see you. How you doing?
Hey, Jorge.
You mentioned reconnecting with players. Have you reconnected with Justin Turner at all? And where do things stand with him?
So I think Justin is traveling right now. I'm not sure where he's at. I talked to him the night before Corey Seager's wedding, and we did a little quick FaceTime. The beard was trimmed up, so we were going to connect. We'll connect, I think, next week. But I didn't really get too much into where he's at as far as kind of his free agency. I just really feel that that's a decision for him and his wife Courtney, his agent, and he's going to kick the tires on whatever opportunity presents itself. But I think how much I value him as a person, as a player.
When it comes, if he does go elsewhere, is it the type of thing where you go in-house for a replacement, or do you go external?
Well, I think the thing is that's great about our guys is we're open to the best option, and best kind of encompasses a lot of different things: the fit, the skill set, the talent, and also the cost. So all that kind of, Andrew does a very good job of kind of looking at everything and turning over every stone. And I do think that what we have in-house is a lot of talent. So the net, ultimately we'll figure out what wins out though.
Thank you.
Next question.
Yep.
Next question is from Andy McCullough. Go ahead.
Hey, Dave. How's it going?
Hello, Andy.
Thank you. So a few of the other managers have talked about the idea of how, they would like to see more action in the sport, I guess, more balls in play, those sort of things. And one of the things the commissioner has talked about is the idea of putting some restrictions on the shift. And I'm curious if you would have any objections to that as when you're trying to manage a game, if there were sort of limitations for how you could position your infielders or outfielders.
Yeah, I think that I have some thoughts. I just don't know if the shift is the sole reason why there isn't the batted ball in play. Because you could almost argue that if there is a shift, then the whole other side of the infield is available to put the ball in play for action. I think the idea that I've heard is, guys have to stay on the dirt. 3 guys can be on the infield, but they have to stay on the dirt. Nobody on the grass in the outfield. I think there's a conversation to be had, which I think is healthy. But I still think that, it kind of goes to compensation, what players value, what agents, the industry. I think that the fans and people that watch the game value action and not just kind of the strikeout, the homer, and the walk. And I do as well. I think the question is how we get there. Is it the ball? Is it the intent of the player? Is it the mound height? Obviously, the pitchers are getting better, and now you're specializing, so it's making it harder for the hitters. But there's also got to be an intent on the hitter side. So there's a good, obviously a difficult conversation.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Yep, happy holidays.
Next question is from Bill Plunkett. Go ahead, Bill.
Hey, Dave. Andrew has described his reaction to winning, kind of surprising him that it was 99% relief and 1% joy. What kind of ratio have you had, and how gratifying is it this winter to not hear every pitching decision you made being debated and dissected all winter?
It's a nice change. I think I kind of agree with Andrew that it was certainly a lot more relief than elation. I guess it's more of, over the past 5 years for me, it's, you're just so focused on the process and how we go about it. But obviously the ultimate goal is to win a championship. So When you finally get to that point, you're just like, man, we did it. And you have so much relief for many different reasons. And then now the balance is, the kind of inner struggle is how much can you just enjoy it and get past that relief and enjoy it to then focus on 21. But I'm still in the middle, and I think for me, getting past the holidays, then I'll really bear down on 21.
When you think about it personally, how much do you look at this as validation of what you've done as manager there?
I think that's certainly a fair question, and I think a lot of it is validation. I'm the first to say that results, it's not what we do, and you kind of can't live your life and coach for just solely results, because I do believe that the body of work that we've done as an organization is pretty special. But you are in this to win championships, and so having done that for the city, the organization, I think certainly is a lot of validation. Yeah.
Thanks, Dave. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Bill.
Next question's from Alden Gonzalez. Go ahead.
Hey, Dave, good to see you. How high up on your list of priorities would you say is bringing Justin Turner back?
Yeah, he's way up there. He's way up there. I think that, what Justin does on the field, in the clubhouse, in the community, he's one of the Dodger greats. He really is. And I think it's been 6 years he's been with the Dodger, and he's in that elite company. His body of work is really special, unique. But it's a two-way deal here. So it's the organization, the Dodgers, and it's also Justin and his family that they got to make a decision. So for me, selfishly, I'll take him for as long as I can have him.
And Dave, you've talked before about how when you're a team that is consistently making these deep runs into October, it could be beneficial to, I guess, sometimes sort of shake up the core group a little bit, maybe infuse a clubhouse with some new blood. Do you find yourself still thinking that could be beneficial to this group? Or this year coming off the championship, are you leaning more towards maybe outside of marginal additions, let's bring back the group again and let's see what they could do together again?
I'm more of the former. I just believe that, changing some pieces, infusing some new life, some new energy, I think is, for me, I think is a good thing. It doesn't always work out the way you might envision, but I definitely think that the culture is certainly in place. But I do think that adding new pieces is always welcome for me. But they've certainly got to be the right pieces.
Thanks, Dave.
Next question's from Kurt Sandoval. Go ahead. Next question's from Eric Steven. Go ahead.
Hi, Dave. Just wondering, are we at a point in the offseason where has not knowing whether you would have the DH next year affected things, or are you sort of going forward thinking it's just not going to return for 2021?
Well, it certainly would make life easier for, I certainly think, the executives in baseball trying to, put together a roster. Anytime you have clarity or, decisiveness, it makes it easier to kind of game plan. So I think that obviously sooner the better, but I think for us as an organization, I think we're going about it that there won't be a DH. I think that's probably, and if we do end up having one, that's more, gravy. And like we used our DH this year, that position, we kind of use it as a day of rest, or, kind of a half day rest for players and those everyday guys, and kind of rotate them in and out, which actually proved to be pretty beneficial.
With some of the minor league guys that signed this last week, Jimmy Nelson's coming back. What's his role going to be? Because, he hasn't pitched too often in the last few years? You see him as more of a starter or reliever?
Yeah, you know what? I think the first thing for Jimmy is I know that we're happy to have him back. You know, when he's healthy, he's as good as anyone in baseball. And his breaking ball, the fastball, the life to it's really good. I know that he feels like there's some unfinished business with the Dodgers, so he's excited to be back. I think the first thing is for Jimmy to be healthy, and you know, he's a guy that wants to get going and show he's healthy, but I do think that we got to kind of make sure he's right. And I don't want to say a kid gloves, but we got to take care of him and make sure he's healthy. And then after that, obviously he's a guy that has been a starter his entire career. So the length piece makes sense. But I think right now we just want to make sure he's healthy, and then we'll kind of figure out what role makes best for him. For us, a guy like Brandon Morrow, getting him back, I obviously think the world of him and what he did for us. So getting him back in, pitching a couple years. So I'm anxious to see him healthy. And it's good to know that guys like him, Jimmy, want to come back here because they believe in the people in this organization.
Next question's from Kurt Sandoval. Go ahead.
Hey, Dave. Sorry, I was a little slow on the unmute there. Obviously, Los Angeles is in a crazy, crazy high COVID thing again. Can you imagine going through the mental, emotional journey again like you did last year? Do you allow your mind kind of to go there yet?
I haven't, because I'm still hopeful that we can, you know, vaccines around the corner. So I'm more optimistic. Yeah, to think about doing what we did last year over the course of a 6-week spring training and 6 months, kind of the same way to mirror that, would be pretty tough. It really would on everyone. So I just haven't let my mind go there right now. I'm just kind of hoping that we get in a better place, you know, as a country.
And just a quick follow-up, we were doing a story with Sean McVay, who grew up in Atlanta, and we asked him his all-time favorite baseball player, thinking it would be a Brave. He said you, because of the relationship that he's developed with you. Can you explain from your side, as the old RBV CIF champ, do you still watch football? How much do you watch the Rams? And are you in any way like Sean McVay?
So I think Sean and I can relate to one another. We both played the quarterback position, ran around, made option reads. And so he's jumped to the top of my list as football players as well. I just think that for Sean and I, we just hit it off from the very beginning, as far as two guys new to Los Angeles, as far as on the coaching side. And we just have a lot of the same values and really just love players and want to empower coaches and really value culture and growing. And I just love the way he motivates. It's very sincere. And just listen to the way the players speak about him and how they play. Just kind of, I like gravitating towards people like that. So yeah, I've got the utmost respect for Sean.
Next question's from Beth Harris. Go ahead.
Hello, Dave.
Hello.
Following up on that earlier question, you know, when you look at what's going on with the NFL, college football, college basketball, where there've been so many postponements, cancellations, attempted makeup games, I mean, kind of what's your level of confidence that baseball can function for a season without the bubble and keep everybody safe and be able to get, you know, a certain amount of games in and continue on a path to, you know, a World Series being played?
I'm very confident. I think that time, as far as timing, Major League Baseball, we're in as good a spot, I think, as any of the sports are. And so I think that as we look out, actually, as we look at what we've accomplished, it took a lot of sacrifice, a lot of people to do some special things to get through last year. And so as we learn from the NBA, the NFL, and things with vaccines, as we start to learn more, I think that whatever is before us, in front of us, and right now we're expecting to start spring training on time. play a full slate of scheduled games. I'm very confident that we'll get through it.
Next question is from Claudia Gestro. Go ahead.
Hi, Dave.
Claudia.
Hi. The off-season story for the Dodgers so far has been pitching. Brandon Morris back, and you have Corey Knebel, and David Price should be back. What is still undecided for you with the pitching?
Yeah, having David back, fresh off of an off season or a season that he didn't pitch, I think it's great. Corey Knebel is going to be. He's a guy that when you see him on the other side with the Brewers, you just didn't like when he came into a ball game. And having Morrow back, I'm really excited for, especially with what Brandon did for us. Having Jimmy Nelson back will get him back to health. I think for us, just getting another leverage reliever, because if you look at our roster, from the guys that we lost some leverage guys to free agency. So to kind of backfill as well, I think would be great. And just getting a right-handed bat. So, I love our lineup. I love the mix of players. So I think that the right-handed bat and, leverage reliever is probably on our wish list.
Next question is from Stephanie Epstein. Go ahead.
Hi, Dave. I imagine that you had some idea of what you were getting in Mookie Betts last season, but then after having played a season with him, what surprised you about him?
I think what surprised me, because I think that you can do some digging on a player. You can do digging. You can look at a baseball card, the back of a baseball card. But I think you don't really know until you know and you spend time with the player. So I think for me, I just never have seen a superstar player be as engaged as Mookie is. And I use the word present. And, whatever he's doing, whoever he's talking to, he's engaged and he's present. So I think that just speaks for what type of character and what type of teammate he is.
And how does that manifest itself?
I think it manifests itself because it lets everyone know that you can also help others, be in tune with other people, teammates, coaches, front office, fans, and still perform. I think that people get so caught up in their own kind of plight, in their own world, right? But I think Mookie just has this ability and understanding that to win a championship, you've got to elevate everybody around you, and that's coaches included. And he just has a real good clarity and a feel to deliver that to everyone. And he's made me a better coach, and I'm sure that everyone can say that he impacted them in some way positively at some point.
Great. Oh, sorry. One last one on this is just, when did you first notice that about him?
I noticed that when in the first spring training 1.0, where ever so often he would come in my office and run an idea by me about philosophy on how we play, how I coach, his teammates, coaches, the dynamics. And he just really wanted to get the lay of the land on everything. And then as we kind of moved on with the days following, there were just more deeper conversations. And he was always kind of in tune with the way I think, the coaches, his teammates. So having as much information as he can on everyone allowed for him to learn us more. And all he does is care about everyone, succeeding. And ultimately that led to us winning a championship this year.
Next question's from Margaret Narumi. Go ahead.
Dave-san.
Hi, Margaret.
Belated congratulations on the World Series championship. Now, has Eiko-san told you that she's heard from relatives she never knew she had back in Japan?
She has. She's our family tree has certainly grown in Japan, which is great. She's rekindled some relationships from grade school, high school. So it's been great. I think that living here in Southern California, you don't really get the scope or the gravity outside of not only Los Angeles, greater Los Angeles, but outside this country, what it meant to, everyone. So it's been fantastic.
Congratulations and happy holidays.
Thank you. Same to you.
Best to Eiko-san.
Next question.
Thank you.
Next question's from Adam Plug. Go ahead.
Hi, Dave. Down here in San Diego with the Padres radio network. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Good. Just wanted to ask your thoughts on what you saw from the Padres this past season.
I thought very talented team, a lot of energy. You can put Tatis in the top, few of best players in all of baseball. Manny had an MVP type year, and the bullpen is always something that they've been very good at. The pitching is certainly on the come, starting pitching. So it's and they had some young players that really stepped up and had nice years. So it's a fun group to watch, to play against, compete against, and AJ and his staff. I thought Chase did a great job with his coaching staff, and we're going to have some good series and games here in the future.
Next question's from Maria Sedal. Go ahead.
Hey, Dave, great to see you.
Great seeing you too, Maria.
Dave, when you sort of let yourself get back into the baseball mode after the holidays, what's sort of your mindset of as far as, okay, we need to do this first, this second, this third?
I think it's just more of checking in on guys as far as are they, on schedule, making sure guys are healthy. I just really believe in our guys as far as kind of mindset, character. Then it's and also it's the constant with the coaches, the guys in baseball operations, and then kind of formulating a plan on how we can get ready for 21. So it's going to be different in the sense that preparing for a spring training where you're coming off a tough, you're not winning the last game of the year, and so which we did in 20. So it's a different mindset, but just to continue to come back just as focused and hungry.
And how often do you contact, or are you in contact with Andrew now?
Andrew and I talk, I would say once a week. He's got a great group of guys in baseball operations, and he's got a lot of balls that he's juggling. So I try to stay out of his hair, and if there's something that's pertinent, he's very good about kind of looping me in. But I think he's sensitive to my time, in the off season, and I just don't want to get in his way. So we just do really well together.
Merry Christmas, Dave.
Thank you.
Next question's from Barry Bloom. Go ahead.
There we go. Hey, Doc, how are you?
Hey.
Hey, how's your off season?
Going well, Barry. Thank you for asking.
So my understanding from the union is that whatever happens with the vaccines has to be collectively bargained with them as far as the players go. But for staff, it's obviously different. Go ahead. What?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Barry. Finish up.
Yeah, but for staff, it's different. How? What's your stance on it? And will you take a vaccine as soon as it's offered?
For me, I personally would. And like you said, the dealings with staff is different than the players and the Players Association. So, and for me, I just don't feel I have the right to tell anyone, to take it. So I think for me personally, I would. And as we know more, I think it'll become more clear.
We got time for one more. Go ahead, Jorge.
Dave, Cody had surgery last month. I'm just wondering if that was a surprise at all, and will that impact at all what position he plays next year?
No, it won't. He's doing really well, kind of rehabbing at Camelback Ranch. And honestly is that once it happened in the postseason, I was just afraid that he couldn't post, the days following. But right now he's recovering well, ahead of schedule. What that means, I really don't know right now. But I think for me, for him to be ready to kind of be somewhat active once we start spring training, that's kind of the hope. But I'm just happy that he came out of it really well, and the docs, the trainers, and Cody, everyone's optimistic.
And you mentioned
And it won't change his position. I just don't see how he won't be our center fielder. Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned David Price. You 100% sure he'll be around in 2021?
No, I don't. I think that David is very in tune with what's going on, very intelligent, and so I don't know. I think my hope. I just love being around him, and I know we're better when he's with us. But as things become more clear, David will make a choice for him and his family.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, everybody.